Ultra Hyperball by Spring Loaded takes all the action of headbutting a small ball and sends it to the moon. Think California Games hacky sack set in a futuristic Japanese world with protective headgear, and you'll have the idea of this quirky multiplayer fun. Poor old Jay has become unsatisfied with his lot in life. Working in his parents' ramen bar is just not where he expected to be, and at the grand old age of 17 he decides to pack it all in and follow his dream of becoming an elite athlete in the Federation's Hyperball League. We've all been there. After putting in a bit of practice in front of his family's restaurant, he heads off with only a small ball and an American football helmet to seek his fame, fortune, and realise his destiny. You take on the role of Jay and his friends, practicing headbutting those balls adorned with ribbons which make them resemble bizarrely pixelated birds, higher and higher until they reach the moon. Each game only lasts a couple of minutes at most, and every scenario is based around keeping the hyperball in the air for a certain amount of time, number of hits, or to gain a certain height. The fun is increased with arcade-style rankings, which award gold, silver and bronze medals to celebrate your increasing skill at hyperball. As you gain new medals, you unlock new stages and an increasingly eclectic collection of skins that allow you to escape from the monotony of being Jay, a challenge he's been trying to achieve for years. You can't choose what controls you use, as they are dictated by the game mode and vary according to the task you were given. However, they are usually incredibly simple, relying on a single button to jump and either tilting the Joy-Con or using the analog stick to move left or right. You have to time your jump to hit the ball at the optimum point to send it soaring higher into the air. This is infuriatingly tricky at first, and you end up seeing the game over screen frequently until you master the crucial timing, progressing from poor through to great and then perfect, supported by colour-coded arrows above your character. Once you've got the timing, you're only challenged to make sure you are underneath the ball as it falls. The tilt controls feel more like you're sliding on ice, bringing back memories of Winter Olympics 1998 on the SNES, and in team mode, the only mode that uses touch controls, I found the touchscreen unresponsive, although I couldn't definitely call this a problem with the game, as it may be due to my screen protector. You can play both single player and multiplayer, adding to the arcade action with a competitive edge. The single player begins with a tutorial and then takes you into the solo challenges, where you are competing against yourself to see how high you can hit the hacky sack with no movement of the character required, other than that perfectly timed jump. You can then play team mode, where the touchscreen is used to juggle multiple hacky sacks between an increasing number of characters. In run mode, you have a limited number of hits to reach a set height, using your analog stick to move J left and right. The stakes are raised when you move on to the tilt mode, where you have to play keepy-uppy, tilting the switch to move left and right, adding another dimension of difficulty. Finally, once you've perfected your timing and your tilting, you can take on the ultimate challenge, combining the run and tilt modes into one Hyperball Federation tournament. The multiplayer offers co-op versions of the variety of modes, as well as introducing the battle mode. However, this is unbalanced. Anyone who is new to the game will get absolutely crushed, so I'm inviting my brother around after a bit more practice to enact my revenge for his California Games victories all those years ago. To be fair, after the initial thrill of playing a new multiplayer game, the novelty wears off pretty quickly, and the continuous challenge of knocking a ball into the air for no other reason than to keep it there becomes rather dull. The graphics are a wonderful homage to the glorious pixelated games of my childhood, and they work perfectly on a small screen. The chiptunes are fantastic, reminiscent of Streets of Rage 2 with a hint of F-Zero in the mix, perfectly accentuating the retro gaming aesthetic. It's all very well done, and the tunes will be stuck in your head for days, but with the fast pace of the game, they do become repetitive very quickly. However, it's not just the music which becomes repetitive very quickly. There is about 20 minutes worth of entertainment in Ultra Hyperball before you realise there's just not a lot to do, which in the end is Ultra Hyperball's ultimate undoing. Were there more game modes instead of using controller limitations as a form of variety, this would have been a far more entertaining game. Imagine a multiplayer version of hacky sack mixed with basketball, a Nidhogg-esque tug of war with up to 4 players jostling for control as they try to push further into enemy territory, or a diabolic challenge mode where you have to ascend the side of an endless tower, desperately trying to keep control of the hacky sack while traversing various moving platforms and avoiding environmental hazards. There is so much more you could have done with this game that Ultra Hyperball feels empty and more like a mobile title than a console game. Even the hacky sack section in California Games had you doing tricks and smacking a seagull in the chops, and once you realise a game released 30 years ago has more content, you know Ultra Hyperball is in trouble. Ultra Hyperball has a delightful retro feel, fast gameplay and easy to learn controls, but there's just not enough here to keep you coming back for more.